You know, about yesterday, I got a brain-to-brain communication from my men telling me that my current book in progress, which is called Bible for Tribulation Saints, my men said they said you're not going to believe it, Gail, but every major theological seminary out there has decided, they've all gotten together and decided that your work in progress is going to be that they want to add it to the canon of scripture. I thought, wow, that means I'm adding to the Bible. And I thought, so what I did is I went online to look at the criteria for being considered part of the canon. And basically, that means the work had to be written by an apostle or a prophet, or somebody closely associated with an apostle or a prophet, and it could not contradict any other part of the Bible. And it also, God himself, John MacArthur even went so far as to say that when Jesus showed up on earth, he always referred to the parts of the Old Testament that were the inspired text. He would say the law and the prophets, and anything that he endorsed was considered part of the canon. Well, Jesus Christ has been very, very picky about who can transcribe for him when he shows up and communicates with us. And he only shows up on Skype or email with me. And the reason for that is because he doesn't want the Antichrist or Satan's people to impersonate him and change what he said to us. So, so far, he's only using Brent Spiner, the real Brent Spiner, not the clone, to transcribe. So he'll show up and have a conversation with me through Skype, though I never hear his voice. He will not let me see him or hear his voice because Satan is too obsessed with me for obvious reasons. Now that I know that I'm a Bible writer, I can see why Satan is obsessed with me. He said, Gail, I can't meet with you face to face. He told me this once because, well, I'll admit it, I am attracted to very masculine men. In fact, just about every man on my marriage list is very manly. And Jesus is the most masculine of all the men. Even though he's got long hair, he's very manly. And for that reason, Satan already tricked me once when Zach Knight was bad, and Zach Knight actually impregnated me and stuff. So Jesus said, Gail, I cannot meet with you face to face because it would invite Satan to do the same, and it could cause problems. So he won't do that. It's already caused problems when he didn't even meet with me, when I thought he was talking to me brain to brain, and he corrected me about that. All of these conversations will be part of Bible for Tribulation Saints. This is a very important book. Even if it's not part of the canon, it's as important as the Bible. But I believe what I'm hearing is correct. It makes sense because I've noticed in the past, Jesus is very interested in my writings. He calls me his favorite, and he calls me his favorite writer. You say, oh, Jesus, Satan's followers are saying, oh, Jesus wouldn't have a favorite. Jesus constantly calls me his favorite. One time I said, Jesus, why am I your favorite? He said, Gail, it's too complicated to explain. But at first, I thought, I know Jesus would not tell me this to make me proud. I don't really have a problem with pride anyways. I'm a pretty humble person. So he's calling me his favorite because he wants the world to know that I'm his favorite because I'm a Bible writer. So he wants people to read my Bible for Tribulation Saints and take it as seriously as they do the rest of the Bible. In other words, he wants me to have full credibility. That's why he's calling me his favorite. Okay, so I'm basically a woman apostle or a woman disciple. And I am the first woman apostle. This is the first time that Jesus has ever used a woman to write Bible. But you know what? It kind of makes sense when you look at my life. I'm 50% King David, literally 50% King David, 60% Catherine the Great. I even have a tenor voice range right now. That's a male voice range. When I sing, I can't sing any other range. I'm not really, some people are saying, oh, you're an alto. That's what I thought. But when I got the piano that I have now, my piano, you can see it right there. See, isn't that beautiful? When I got the piano, I was able to tell exactly what my voice range is. And it's the perfect tenor voice range. I'm not really an alto because I can't hit the C above middle C anymore. So I've got a man's voice. I wear men's shoes. I bought for the past 7 or 8 years. I've been buying men's. I think it's 8-4E. I can't wear women's shoes. I have to wear men's shoes, or my feet start killing me. I'm most comfortable in a man's shoe, so I wear men's walking shoes. I have a man's voice, and I have a masculine temperament. I'm still a woman, but I'm very manly in my approach to life. And that's the reason why whenever we go into battle, my men always want me by their side, especially if it's an important battle. I comfort them, I give them courage, and I give them leadership, which they like. So I'm very manly. And also, I think that Jesus made me this way because he knew I would be a head of state. And having manly traits is helpful for a head of state. Okay, so I'm a lot like King David. King David was a head of state. He was a military leader and a Bible writer. So I just can't tell you how honored I am that Jesus has chosen me for this. And I know he has, because one time I didn't realize how important my writing was to him in 2014. And I was working on a story about me and my men, and I put Satan and Jesus in there. And Jesus has given me permission to make him a main character. And Terrence Jenkins was saying, I don't think Jesus does this too often, Gail. That's quite an honor. And now I know why. I'm a Bible writer. Let me tell you something. I've been a Christian a long time, okay? And I believed until 2012 that the canon was closed because, to be a Bible writer, you got to be an apostle, and there aren't any more apostles, or that's what we thought. But in 2012, Jesus surprised us all. He showed up. He showed up on February 14, 2012, and me and my men thought maybe that would be it. Maybe he just showed up to rescue us from Satan, and that appearance is in my book. I've got it as a transcript. I actually transcribed the whole thing. I taped it, and because Satan's voice was in the background, Jesus told me, he said, don't let people hear Satan's voice, Gail, because he can seduce them with that voice. He said, but I would like you to transcribe it. I want the world to know what happened here. So I know Jesus approves of this Bible for Tribulation Saints, which I'm writing. In fact, it's part of the Bible now. Jesus has actually said things to us which sheds light on the current Bible and helps it to make more sense. And I think the reason he waited so long to add to the rest of the Bible is because back when the Bible was written, they didn't have cars, they didn't have computers, they didn't have electricity. So he needed to have a more up-to-date Bible to deal with the technology that we're dealing with today and which Satan is using to deceive people. So I believe that's why he's waited till now to finish the canon. Now this is, when he showed up with his disciples, a lot of what he taught was revolutionary. I mean, it wasn't what they expected, and he's doing the same thing again. He's teaching us things that are revolutionary. First of all, he's giving us information about how to deal with Satan's inventions, the computer, electricity, and things that we need to do to make it through the tribulation and not fall for the Antichrist. And that's all in this book. It's we have so many quotes from Jesus. I put them in red letters. So if you have a Kindle device that has red letters, you'll get it. Or if you read it off an iPad or an iPhone, you'll get the red lettering. But a lot of Kindle devices like the one I have do not have, it's all black and white. So what I did is I put Jesus Christ in all caps and his words in red and bold. So even though the red may not show up on your Kindle device, the bold will. So you can hopefully tell, I want people to know when I'm quoting his words. And I've been very careful to transcribe him accurately. So I believe I'm writing divinely inspired text right now under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And, well, see, what's been happening is major theological seminaries like Dallas and John MacArthur School, they've been able to follow along as I've been working on this, because at my Patreon page, I let them see the work in progress. I finished the first draft. So basically, they can tell just from reading the first draft that this is going to be divinely inspired text. There's already prophecy in there, which hasn't happened yet, but will happen because Jesus said it. And I have no doubt that I've been meeting with the real Jesus. So I'm basically, what I'm doing for the world, the reason I got started on this is Terrance Jenkins asked to get the transcript of all of our meetings with Jesus and get it together and just send it to them as unedited. I decided, why not turn this into a book? I think the world deserves to know what Jesus said to us. So I started making it into a book. It turned out it's turning into a really huge book, 760,000 words. And I'm thinking, you know what? A lot of what he told us the world needs to know, because the advice, we are examples for the tribulation saints and any saint who's trying to follow Jesus right now in our current generation to follow. And Jesus even said that. And I once asked Jesus, I said, Jesus, the tribulation saints, what do you want them to know? And he says, what I want them to know is that they need to follow you and your men as examples. And I want the world to know your story and the story of your men. So anyways, basically, I'm writing Bible. It's going to make the current canon twice as big as it is, because what I'm writing is the size of the Bible right now. He's using a woman, probably because, I don't know. My guess is this is his way of getting back at Satan for using a woman to cause the fall. So now he's going to use a woman to help reverse the fall. The King David, Catherine the Great woman, the manly woman. I once said, Jesus, why are you using a woman? He said, well, I used Mary to birth me, didn't I? That's what he said to me. And he said, and besides that, Gail, you have very manly genes. I said, I bet I'm even more manly than a lot of the men out there. And Jesus said, you're absolutely right. So he's chosen a very manly woman with King David genes to finish the canon. And, if you'll notice when you read the Bible, there's very little in there for the millennial saints. And that's because Jesus knew he'd be adding to the canon. I believe that my Bible for tribulation saints is going to be the Bible for from now on, for the millennial saints. In other words, he's going to have them look back and remember what it was like before he becomes king over the planet in the millennium. When he's the King David anointed ruler, he's going to have the millennial saints looking back and remembering what it was like before he was king, to motivate the world to obey him when he's when he's in charge of the world, in his 1,000-year reign. So that's my book. Basically, my part of the Bible is basically where we are examples to follow, and where Jesus gives some new updated instructions dealing with modern day conditions that they didn't have to deal with during the previous Bible times. So I'm writing a very, very important book, and it's going to be added to the canon. And if I'm wrong about this, then my men will let me know, but I think I'm right, because Jesus, one time when my writing was getting inaccurate, Jesus was very, very upset. He knew I'd be writing the Bible and more to the Bible, and he wanted to make sure I had full credibility. And he spent hours giving me writing instructions. He said, Gail, it's very important your writings are accurate. He said, you're getting inaccurate, and I'm very upset. So he fixed me, and I'm trying to follow his advice for my writings and make sure everything that I write is truthful and accurate.